GM, everyone. I'm going to talk about post-quantum cryptography and the future of hardware. And let's talk about a little bit about this potential doomsday. My name is Charles Guillemet. I'm CTO at Ledger. My background is cryptography and security. I joined Ledger in 2017. In crypto time, it's ages ago. And I discovered Bitcoin in 2011. At the time, a friend of mine was mining with his own computer, so I studied blockchain technology and Bitcoin. And I thought it was an amazing invention, but I really didn't get why it was interesting. So I didn't pay more attention until I joined Ledger in 2017. For those who don't know Ledger, Ledger is the world leader when it comes to digital asset security. We estimate that 20% of the whole market cap is secured by Ledger technology. We have sold more than 8 million devices across 165 countries. We also have a B2B solution in order to manage your crypto in security, but also allowing you to create your governance policies. I think like Bitcoin and Ethereum are really amazing technology thanks to their permissionless aspect. With Bitcoin, with Ethereum, you can completely own your value. And it's permissionless thanks to two main things. On one side, you have the decentralized consensus, meaning that no one can prevent you to make a transaction and transact on chain, interact with different smart contracts. And on the other side, you have self-custody. With self-custody, you really own your crypto, you really own your value, and no one can prevent you to own it and to transact with it. However, when we look at the figures, we estimate that around 600 million people own crypto in a way or another, but only 30 million self-custody. And out of the 30 million, only 10 million in secure self-custody. So this is really the state of where we are. However, I think like self-custody is really the core value proposition of blockchain technology because of this permissionless aspect. So let's go into quantum computer. So quantum computers are very different from a classical computer. They are leveraging a quantum phenomenon, superposition, entanglement, and interference, and they are using qubits. And qubits exist in multiple states at the same time. This is a very different concept than a bit. They can be very powerful, but they are also very sensitive to noise, and that's why we run them near absolute zero temperature. What you can see on the screen is not a quantum computer, it's a big fridge. The computer is very small at the bottom of the photo. The rest is just a fridge to maintain a very low temperature. Quantum computers are not general purpose computers. They won't replace most of the computer we have, phones and so on, because they are very well suited only for a few things. They are well suited for doing physics research, chemistry research, and also breaking cryptography. This is what we're going to talk about now. We have discovered the concept of quantum computer a long time ago, in the 80s, 90s. And at the time, researchers invented theoretical algorithm, meaning that knowing we have a quantum computer, we could break cryptography. And there are two main algorithms. On one side, you have Shor, and on the other side, you have Grover. And it really matters because most digital security relies on the system, and you have like two main issues. We have an issue for encryption because today we can do harvest now and decrypt later, which is a big issue because you might have secret that you want to keep secret for a long time. And you also have the problem for digital signature. The timeline reality is very difficult to assess because we don't know when or even if one day we will have a quantum computer capable of breaking cryptography. However, I really think it's a moot point because we are using cryptography in order to have trust in the security of our system. This is what cryptography is. As soon as the trust is eroded, then we need to recreate this trust. So just going back to what we could do with a quantum computer. So in cryptography, you have three main families of algorithm: encryption, hashes, and signatures. To be honest, the biggest problem is encryption. Every single communication, every single thing where you need confidentiality today is encrypted with vulnerable algorithm. That means that actors could simply capture all the traffic, all the encrypted data, hoping that one day they will be able to decrypt it. And there is nothing we can do today because the data exists, it's encrypted, but maybe we might be able to decrypt it. For blockchain, it's not really a problem because we almost don't use encryption. We also have hashes. The good news is that hashes are not fundamentally at risk, which is good news. And finally, we have signatures. Signatures are used to sign message, prove ownership over your Ethereum, authenticate yourself. There are many different use cases. Signature is the cornerstone of cryptography today. And signatures are fundamentally at risk. What's the current state of quantum computing? So again, it's a long research cycle that started in the 80s. And the progress has been steady. Like there is no Q-day, we don't have any clue, and tomorrow we have a quantum computer. It's a steady progress, quite slow. I'm in the cryptography world for more than 20 years, and that's 25 years that I hear that in the next 5 years we will have a quantum computer capable of breaking cryptography. However, there is more momentum today. There are massive investment in the field, and we can see different progresses. You have progresses in the theoretical algorithm. This is what Google presented yesterday. Their paper simply improved Shor's algorithm. Shor was initially studied specifically to break RSA, but in blockchain technology, we are using elliptic curve cryptography, and there was not so much research on how to use Shor for breaking ECC. So that was quite expected that we could improve Shor's algorithm in order to tailor it to break elliptic curve cryptography. And this is really the result that Google presented 2 days ago. The number of qubits required for breaking elliptic curve cryptography is lower than initially expected, initially thought. On the other side, we are also making progress into building a quantum computer. However, we have still plenty of challenges for building such quantum computer, and one of the challenges is to scale it, have a large number of qubits, and this is what is necessary to break cryptography. And the more you add qubits, the more difficult it is to maintain the quantum state. So this is part of the challenge we have, and both sides are progressing. And now we are also seeing big investment for a hyperscaler with IBM, Microsoft, Google, AWS, and as I mentioned, Google is very active in the field. In terms of investment, as you can see on the chart, the investments are increasing maybe exponentially. They have been multiplied by 7 by 10 in the past 7 years, mostly in the US, China, and EU. It's completely it's really a commercial competitive advantage, but it also become a national security topic. So that's also why there was so much investment in this space. Again, difficult to say how far we are from breaking modern cryptography, but as I mentioned, we would need a quantum computer with a large number of qubits. I mentioned millions, but Google proved that it's only 500,000 to break elliptic curve cryptography. But we are still order of magnitude away. Today, we are more able to build around a few hundred to around 1,000 qubits. So this is more where we are. And the scaling is not linear, as I mentioned. Adding more qubits can be exponentially more difficult. However, all of this is a moot point. We don't really care when, if a quantum computer will appear. Now we can see there is this progress into building this quantum computer capable of breaking cryptography. So now we have doubt. The trust in the cryptography is a little bit eroded. So that's why we need to move towards a solution. And there are good news. We have a solution. The solution is post-quantum cryptography. So post-quantum cryptography is a type of cryptography that is specifically designed to be immune against a quantum computer. This has been invented in the 70s, 80s. It was heavily studied when Shor and Grover algorithms were invented, and we have these tools. We also have standard, the NIST, which is the National Institute of Standard and Technology, which is a US organization that are creating plenty of standard, including cryptography standard, has standardized different algorithms in order to have post-quantum cryptography. They also design a timeline where every single system in the world should move towards PQC. And this timeline is 2030 and 2035 for most systems. And the big challenge today is really the migration, because we have cryptography everywhere, and we need to move all the system towards post-quantum crypto. So again, the NIST recommendation is the full migration by 2035. We have the standard, and now it's really a matter of coordinating and migrating. Unfortunately, there is no one standard. There are a few of them. For encryption, again, this is where the risk is the biggest globally, not for blockchain, but globally. And for this, there is no big discussion. The decision is settled. We know what algorithm to use. There is not so much drawback in terms of implementation. So now it's really a matter of implementing it. This is called MLKM, Kyber. Not very difficult to implement. Now it's really a matter of doing it, and fast, because every single data that is encrypted today might be decrypted tomorrow. So moving towards PQC for encryption is not a question anymore. And for signatures, there are different families of post-quantum crypto signatures, and two main families. On one side, you have hash-based post-quantum signature, and on the other side, you have lattice-based signatures. Hash-based have a few benefits. The biggest one is that hashes are very well known and studied for years, so we don't have doubts on the security. We know how to handle them. We already have plenty of implementation. On the drawback side, it creates very large signatures. Also, it's mostly stateful. We have limited hardware support today. So there are plenty of drawback for hash-based signature. For lattice-based cryptography, lattice-based signature, the benefits are really the size of the signature, the performance as well. It's more performant than hash-based one. You also have hardware acceleration that is coming. On the cons side, it's a little bit newer. It's a little less studied. And now in the Bitcoin community, Ethereum community, and different blockchain community, there was this debate on where we go. Do we choose hash-based or MLGSA, lattice-based cryptography? And it's unclear. It seems that the Bitcoin community prefer hashes. For Ethereum, there are plenty of discussion. I think a few months ago, the foundation was more leaning towards lattice-based cryptography, and now we are more discussing around hash-based. But for the rest of the world, most of the system will implement MLGSA, lattice-based cryptography. So, as I mentioned, now we have to transition every single cryptographic system, and that will be a lot of coordination for telecommunication, defense, finance. Like, we have cryptography everywhere. Like that will be If we follow the NIST timeline, we have like 9 years to do this migration. But 9 years to update every single system in the world is not that much. So we need to start right now. And for classical system, there is a big advantage. So there is more cryptography because there is cryptography everywhere. But there is a big advantage. Like the CEO of Google can say, by 2039, we migrate everything. We will do this, and that's it. And this is what they said. When it comes to blockchain, the difficult part is not the migration itself. It's more to reach the social consensus. Like, what kind of algorithm do we choose? What does it mean with the size of the block? Because if the transactions are bigger, it might take more space on the blocks. What do we do for previous addresses? Because that means that your Bitcoin or your funds on Ethereum blockchain would need to be moved from your ECDSA address to a post-quantum one. So that means that every single user needs to sign a transaction. And what do you do for the coin that are not moved? So there are plenty of questions to settle, and the difficult part is really to reach the social consensus, and that might be extremely difficult. And this is really my main message today. Us as a community, we really need to push and decide quickly, settle what's the direction, settle the timeline, and do this migration. Again, for encryption, so at Ledger, we are working on these topics, obviously. The good news is that we have an operating system that can be upgraded. So the operating system is essentially a big cryptographic toolbox, and the operating system will give you syscalls in order to get these cryptographic services. And what we're going to do is to add these new cryptographic primitives. For encryption, as I mentioned, for blockchain, there was almost no use of encryption, but internally at Ledger, we are using encryption for different things. So we are going to enable this post-quantum encryption primitives. And for signatures, we are going to do the same. And this is something that we are working on. As I mentioned, we really prefer lattice-based cryptography because you have a better hardware support and better performance. So this is something this is the decision that we are driving for blockchain to choose MLDSA type of signature. Timeline is a little bit uncertain because quite often I'm asked when Ledger is post-quantum resistant. Ledger can be post-quantum resistant, but if the blockchain are not post-quantum resistant, it doesn't solve anything. So we are working with the blockchain in order to drive this transition. And at the same time, you also have, so with post-quantum cryptography, we have mathematical guarantees that these algorithms are correct and are giving are immune against the quantum computer. However, when you implement them, you enter into a new world where you can have vulnerabilities, different attacks that can be software attacks, hardware attacks. And this is what we are doing with the Dungeon internally. The Dungeon is our internal security research team. And they are doing different implementation and trying to make them as secure as possible. Because the math can be correct and secure. If the implementation isn't, then you don't solve any problem. Also, we are preparing the future of hardware at Ledger with a new secure element that will enable the acceleration of the support for this post-quantum crypto algorithm. But this is the future of hardware. We also have to support the devices that we have today. Just as a conclusion, today, we have cryptography that is a little bit challenged by quantum computing. The good news is that we have post-quantum cryptography. And again, cryptography is a mathematical way to provide trust into the security of the system. I don't know when or if we will have a quantum computer capable of breaking cryptography. But again, it's not important. What is important is to create to recreate the trust that people have in the security of our system. So that's why we really need to move towards post-quantum cryptography. And for us, in the blockchain ecosystem, there is this challenge of creating the social consensus, aligning on what's the roadmap and the timeline, and we really need to act fast, settle this, and create this transition towards post-quantum cryptography. Thank you.